Hey, back again. We're coming back with a UFC 309 update. My name is Brady. This is Be All In Sports. We're back again to elaborate on our last breakdown that we did, where we gave you all the preliminary upcoming matches for 309 and the main card matchups as well. Gave you my picks. Tonight, I'm gonna go back over these matchups and there has been an addition to one of these. We now have a new match on here that we'll kind of go over just a little bit. I don't see much on the betting side with this one, but I'll at least give you my opinion on this one as well. And we will go through the rest of them. Some things may have changed just a little bit, slightly, due to the weigh-ins and just stuff that I've noticed through the week. So we'll see what we get out of this one, and then I will give you some of my bets that I've already placed for this upcoming weekend. Hope you're having a great Friday. I am ready for the fights tomorrow. Can't wait. It's getting pretty late here, but we'll get through this and bust out those bets for you and see what you guys think. Let me know what you think in the likes and comments. Give me some suggestions on some upcoming bets you're putting in, what you like, how you feel about these. But I'll start right off here. We've got that newly formed matchup here coming in. David Onama versus Roberto Romero. David Onama, talented striker, comes out of Glory Kickboxing. He is one of those all-around high-level type fighters. He's had some pretty decent competition in the UFC. He has taken on the newcomer Roberto Romero, who's coming in on short notice. This 4 days notice here. I hate betting fights like this, so I'm gonna go with what I think is the more talented and the far more experienced fighter in this one. I am gonna side with David Onama. He's too big of a favorite for me to even remotely think about betting on. So nothing on the betting side there, but I do feel like this is a matchup that Onama should win. Roberto Romero, he's probably going to make it tough. He goes to quite a few decisions, I've noticed, over his time, and he is a pretty aggressive fighter, can really put the pressure on. And he is a Mexican fighter, and they are known to really, really outdo themselves in fights. So I look for this to be a good matchup. I do think it's going to go at least over that 1.5, but Onama's always going to be deadly. So, maybe round 2 knockout for Onama is what I would think was going to happen. But I do think it can go over that 1.5, but probably not much past that. We'll go on to the next match. All right, we'll go right back to the beginning on this one. We have Veronica Hardy taking on Eduarda Mora. In the very, very beginning of the week, I was picking Eduarda Mora, and I know that Veronica Hardy is a very talented striker, but when I look at this, I see Eduarda Mora being able to control her on the ground once the rounds get into the later sections of this fight. Veronica is very, very active on the feet, but I think when you've got a fighter like Mora that is going to walk you down, is going to put the pressure on you, get you in those clinch situations up against the cage. If she can happen to drain some of that energy from you and wear you down, it's going to make you less active, which I did notice Veronica Hardy does seem to get a little less active just due to that high volume that she's putting out in the earlier rounds. She's not a finisher. Mora is more of a finisher. So if there's going to be a finish, I would say it's going to be more on the Mora side. But in this one, I am going to side with the underdog, Eduarda Mora. I possibly do have her in a couple bets that I'm going to be handing out to you here coming up too. But yeah, I think she's got this one. I think she's got the size advantage, and I think later on she's going to end up holding it to the ground and getting a decision win. Next up, Oban Elliott versus Basil Hafez. I'm going with Elliott in this one. Still, nothing has changed my mind. Both of them look really good on the weigh-ins, the scales. Both of them look like they're ready to fight, but I just think that Oban Elliott is the more well-rounded fighter. I think he's the more talented striker out of the two, and I think it could possibly offset a little bit with the takedown defense. I think Elliott has excellent takedown defense. I think his takedown defense is stellar. He showed it against Parsons. Thought he looked great in that matchup. And Hafez, he is going to constantly be trying to get you to the ground. But Elliott, he was very resistant against the takedown. So I think that if anything else, he'll wear Hafez out and then be able to kind of dominate the last 2 rounds of this fight. But I am going to pick Elliott in this fight. And again, he is one of those that I was very close to just sticking him in a bunch of parlays. And I always tell you, hold off until the end. But in this case, probably should have picked Oban Elliott because I was pretty high on him from the very get-go, and the odds have just reflected that and continued to grow. So kind of out of my favor now, but I did manage to get him in a parlay, and since then the odds have continued to rise. So if something does happen to where they go down before fight time, might think about something else there with him as well. But I do like Oban Elliott in this matchup. Next up, Mickey Gall versus Ramiz Brahima. I've been saying all week, again, I like Brahima in this matchup. I know that Gall's got the size, probably has a little bit more of the experience, but when I look at Brahima and what he's going to try and do, which is get you to the ground, control you on the ground, I think that Gall can get in those lackadaisical situations where he's just kind of letting himself be controlled on the ground, looking for submissions, and I don't think they're going to be there against Ramiz. And Ramiz, to me, is a great price of the underdog. You get him, I think he was plus 120 when I looked last. I know Gall is a talented fighter, and I hear it from everybody, oh, he got raised in the UFC. Yes, he still isn't successful in the UFC. So I'm going to take Brahima in this one. I think he's going to be able to get him to the ground. I think he's going to be able to ride him out and control him on the ground. Don't see a finish in this one at all. So if anything, a split decision bet on this one is something that I will be looking at, but I'm going to take Brahima in this one. Marcin Tybura versus Yanata Deniz. Again, I think age is going to play a factor in this one. I think Deniz is the young, hungry dog. I think Tybura is basically on his last legs as far as this game goes. I think Deniz is going to end up knocking him out. I am taking Deniz in one of my bets, and I'll have that one up for you later. But I've been on Deniz from the very get-go. He's got power. I think he's going to be able to withstand the takedowns. Tybura doesn't have great takedowns in my opinion, and he is constantly just fighting to get it to the ground, usually ends up wearing himself out. Deniz, I think, is going to end up coming on strong in the second or third. I think it's going to be a knockout in the third round for Deniz, but I'm going Deniz in this one, and he is the underdog. Like that pick. Jim Miller versus Damon Jackson. I like this matchup. I think it's two well-rounded fighters here, but unfortunately for Jim Miller, little long in the tooth for me to pick him. I am going to side with Damon Jackson. I think he's a little bit younger, a little bit hungrier. Jim Miller, he's a great fighter, but time is just kind of passing him by, I think. And I think this is more in the realm of a Damon Jackson bet. So I will have Damon Jackson in a parlay as well, just to let you know. I'll give you those coming up. But yeah, again, this is another one that I see Damon Jackson being the more well-rounded fighter, having the higher skill set, a little bit more dangerous there. So I am going to side with Jackson in this one. And I don't think he's that bad as far as numbers go either. I think you're kind of getting a discount, and I think they're pretty equal as far as skill levels go, but I just feel like youth is going to prevail in this one. I think Jackson is going to get it done. Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. Been saying it all week long, and I've heard many people go the other way on this one. I like Eric Anders. I had him very, very get-go. I do not like what I see out of Chris Weidman. I think he looks average to me. He looks like he still doesn't have good footing, and he's not powerful in it. I don't see the power in his takedowns. So I think Anders is going to beat him pretty much everywhere. I don't think this is the same Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman from 10 years ago, yeah, I'd give it to him. But Eric Anders now, and I'm hearing that he just got clean and had been pretty much abusing drugs the entire time that he'd been in the UFC, which, to be quite honest with you, judging by his performances, is not that unimpressive. So I'm taking Anders in this one. I think he's got a strength advantage. I think a youth advantage, not much, but he is a little bit younger, and I think he's just not as worn down. And I don't like what I see out of Chris Weidman. I don't think the strength is there. Honestly, I don't think the strength is in his legs anymore to get people where they need to be on the ground. I know he's good at wrestling, but somebody who also has the ability to keep the fight standing, which Anders, he's not the greatest at takedown defense, but I think he's adequate. And in this matchup, I think he can keep it up against the fence long enough to be able to keep it on the feet and eventually just do just enough. I'm not saying this is going to be a whirlwind win, knockout, or anything like that, although I could see it. But I think Anders is going to get it done by decision, possibly even split decision on this one. But I see Anders getting it done. Jonathan Martinez versus Marcus McGee. This is probably my favorite matchup on the entire card. I can't wait to see this fight. I think Martinez is an excellent fighter, and McGee is an excellent fighter as well. Martinez is deadly with those leg kicks. McGee is an all-around, well-rounded fighter. Not as much experience inside the UFC, but he's a little bit older, and definitely is a well-rounded fighter, and you can tell his skill set is high level. I would not be surprised if we see him way up in the rankings, top 10, top 5, possibly competing for a belt at some point. I've gone back and forth on this one, honestly, and this is one that I am not going to be picking and betting either of these sides, but I was thinking about flipping my pick on this one because I had picked Jonathan Martinez earlier in the week because that dog value, and Marcus McGee, when he looks great on the scale, dude looks ripped. Martinez looked good on the scale too, just not as defined as McGee, but Martinez can fight. He's got those, like I said, those leg kicks are deadly. He's got some TKOs by those leg kicks. In this particular matchup, even though I do see it going long, I see it being a throwdown matchup. I see them both having their times that they shine in this one. I'm going to say that this is going to be a split decision, but I am going to still side with my man Jonathan Martinez on this one. Marcus McGee is awesome, and I would not in the least be surprised if he does pull it off. But for this matchup in particular, just Martinez coming off that last loss and wanting to get that back, I think he gets it done in this one. So I'm going to take the underdog, Jonathan Martinez, to get this done by decision. Mauricio Rufy versus James Lontop. Lontop came in a little heavy on this one. This is a catchweight match, 165 catchweight match. And I think he came in at 166 and a half, maybe, or somewhere around there, 166 or over. Rufy obviously came in at the 165 and made weight. I think he's the better striker. I think this is going to be a matchup that is going to really surprise a lot of people. I think Lontop is very tough, so I think he's going to be difficult to get out. I think if anybody can do it, it's going to be Rufy. He's very lengthy. His striking is top notch, very slick with his strikes. Lontop, on the other hand, is just kind of a grinder, tough, well-rounded skill set. So I think it's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. I am going to side with the heavy favorite in Rufy, but I did end up taking him just a little bit different. I do have him on a money line bet that I parlayed, but I also took him on a little bit different spread bet there too. I'll get to that in just a little while, but my pick on this is going to be Mauricio Rufy. My girl, Karine Silva versus Vivian Arroyo. I'm not changing my pick on this one either. I think Silva is the better fighter out of the two. I think they're both excellent, well-rounded fighters. I just think Silva's going to have that grit. I think she's going to be I think she's going to have the strength advantage. I think on the ground, she's going to have advantages there, even though Arroyo is very, very tough on the ground. If she can get it there, I think she's going to control more. I think this is a Silva win for me. These are the kind that you look at and you pick immediately thinking, yeah, she's got it. Look at what she's done, this and this and this. And then it is the one pick that you're depending on to complete your parlays, and it blows up in your face. Would I be shocked if this was a parlay killer? No, not at all. But I do have pretty good confidence that Karine Silva is going to get this done. So I do have her in a bet, maybe 2 bets. But again, this is a Karine Silva match for me. I'm a fan of hers. I think she gets it done. So a little biased, but I still think she gets it. All right, on to the next one. We got Bo Nickal taking on Paul Craig. Craig's got a little bit of a size advantage and probably a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I mean, you got the brand new the newcomer coming in here, and everybody keeps telling you that you're the heavy underdog. This guy's a minus 1350 favorite. That has to be a big slap in the face, just knowing who you faced, who you've beaten, what you've done in the UFC to this point. So I'm sure that Paul Craig is feeling some kind of way about this to begin with. And, this is probably one of those fights that is a little bit harder to digest than than some of the other ones. I have to side with Bo Nickal. I think but I'm more siding with him because of what I think is he's better in the striking advantage. I think he's going to have a striking advantage. I've never been impressed with Paul Craig. He gets hit a lot. He kind of, in a way, almost gives up sometimes. I know that's hard to say because he has had some submissions where he's, fought through adversity, and he can do it. But I just see him, once the pressure's on, and I think once you feel the pressure of Nickal in the wrestling department, I think it's going to be a whole different ball game. I don't think Craig's going to be able to get the submissions. So in this one, again, nothing's changed here. I am going to still side with Nickal, although Craig on the scale and in the face-off did look a little intimidating, but let's be honest, he does that every single time, and then his fights usually suck. All right, Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler. I've been on Michael Chandler the entire time, and now something comes out where they're pointing to some picture. He's got his arms up, and it looks like he's got staph infection on his elbow. Man, I don't know. I really still want to pick Chandler in this one. I am going to pick Chandler. I'm still picking Chandler. I'm not going to vary off that pick, although, obviously Charles Oliveira, super dangerous. Is anybody going to be surprised if he beats him again? No. But I think that Chandler's got a real chance in this one. I think he's going to go in and try and get it done early. But I also think that his cardio is enough. And like I said in the first breakdown, Charles Oliveira has had his moments of breaking in a way. So I am going to side. I'm going to go with the underdog here, Michael Chandler. I think you get it done this time. I think this is 1-1. I think you set up a perfect opportunity for a third matchup, or you're going for that title shot. Totally see that happening for you. If you get a knockout in this one, it's even more likely to happen. Knocking out a former champion in Oliveira would be a huge step towards getting that belt opportunity against Makhachev, and obviously that would probably impress him too. So I'm going to side with Chandler. I am not a big Michael Chandler fan, but I respect the guy, and I think that in this matchup, he may have some advantages that come shining through just because he's been working his ass off the last 2 years, waiting for a matchup that didn't happen. Highly motivated. A lot is riding on that staph infection. I don't know how that's going to go, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say Michael Chandler gets this done. And I do think if he gets it done, I think it's going to be by KO. So I'm going to say he gets it done. You know what? I'm going to pick him in the second round this time. Michael Chandler, KO, second round. All right. The main event, Jon Bones Jones taking on Stipe Miocic. This, to me, I went with it right away when I saw it. Nothing has changed. I honestly don't like what I see out of Stipe. When I see the interviews, it seems like he's slurring words. Seems like he is kind of lackadaisical. I know you're having a meal when you're doing your interview and everything like that, but to me, I don't like the look. It's not for me. I don't like the way it's coming across. Coming back after it's such a huge layoff and taking a knockout in your last match, Was pretty brutal knockout too. Jones, always on top of his game. He looks in great shape for the heavyweight division. And again, I just don't trust a guy coming back from 3 years off to try and take on the pound for pound greatest fighter that's ever crossed the octagon. I just don't see it happening. So obviously, yeah, I am going to take Jon Jones in this one. No surprise there. Uh, not a lot has changed in this. There's a couple fights that I'm a little bit more iffy on, just because they can go either way to begin with. But from what I'm seeing, yeah, it could definitely flip flop on me. But that little staph infection issue causing me some concern there. But overall, those are my picks, and we'll jump right on over here to the betting side. All right. So I put a couple of these together. Obviously, I told you I kind of sometimes end up going a little crazy on the UFC fights, but I'm going to try and tame myself down. And so far, I do have some of those long shot, dollar parlays and shit like that. So, but these are my main picks for this one. I am going to take, first off, this was on FanDuel. I got it for minus 119. I don't know. The odds might have changed just a little bit. Fight odds are a little bit different. Sometimes if you wait till the end, you'll get a better odd than this. But I am going to go Oban Elliott money line, and I'm going to team that up with Carini Silva. I told you I was a huge fan. I get this for minus 119 on FanDuel. Since then, these numbers have been kind of going up and down a little bit, but I'm going to trust that I've got my finger on the pulse with this one. I do think that this is a matchup for both of these that favors them, and I think that both of them can get it done. So this is my first one: Oban Elliott money line and Carini Silva money line, minus 119 on FanDuel. Okay, this is a 4-leg parlay with the boost that you can do on DraftKings. I just put these together because they're fun and, big payouts if you actually hit these. I think before the boost, it came out at like a six something plus six something. Again, it's fighting people. You have to realize what you're doing here. But this is my 4-leg parlay. Thought this was something that you have to hit a certain level of the odds in order to even get it to work. So they have to be a minus 250 or better. So in this particular card, it was a little bit difficult to find some of these pieces. But here's what I'm going with: this 4-leg parlay with that boost. Again, it's plus 704, so not a bad return. We're going Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler fight. We're going to go under 2.5 rounds on that one. You get this one for minus 250 over on DraftKings. That, again, this may change as the time goes on, so I'm not sure that you'll be getting the exact same odds, but this is what I got it for when I put it in. Then I did, like I said, I'm pretty confident that Eric Anders can get this done this weekend, so I'm taking him on the money line. I got him for minus 115. Those odds could actually flip-flop, and I could see Chris Weidman coming out as the favorite in that one. I'm not sure how they would go, but I did get Anders in there as a money line bet. And then I'm going to take Eduardo Mora at plus 3.5 spread. That's a minus 245. What this means is basically if your judges for 3 rounds score at 29-28, 29-28, 29-28, you've officially won that. You've cleared that spread because it hasn't gone over the 4. If you get a judge that is basically scored at 30-27, 30-27, 30-27, obviously you've lost. So you want it to be close. You want him to at least steal a round is basically what I'm asking Eduardo Mora to do. And in this fight, as you know, I have picked her to win. So I'm thinking that, yeah, she can get this done for me. So that's where I'm going. A little bit safer, but I'm still going Eduardo Mora plus 3.5 spread. I do think this fight goes to decision. So anytime you get a fight that you think is going to go to the decision, you've always got a chance to hit that at least plus 3.5 spread. So we'll see how this goes. That was minus 245 on DraftKings. And then I did pick Yanata Denise to win a money line, so I do have him, in that as well. But we also got him with that plus 3.5 spread at minus 125 to complete this 4-leg parlay. And again, like I said, plus 704 on DraftKings. put that boost in. They give you that maximum. I don't know what everybody's maximum is. Everybody's going to be different based on what they usually bet. So could be a big payday, could be a big failure. We'll see, but I like it. And here's my underdog of the week right here. I like this guy. He shows a lot of grit, shows that he's pretty determined, wants to work his way up the rankings. And I think that he is facing an opponent in Marcin Tybura that is not on the he's not on the uptick of his career. Let's put it like that. He's on the downside of his career. And I think he is very susceptible to being knocked out in this one. So I thought Janata Denise was a great money line pick at plus 124 on DraftKings. I'm going to put a unit on that one and see how it goes, but I feel pretty confident that he can get this done by knockout. Then I am going to go over to the DraftKings side again. This is what I feel is a little bit more on my safer parlay side. I'm going to take Mauricio Rufy at minus 900. I know it's steep, but listen, the guy's good, and I'm pretty confident that he can get this done. Might be a little bit of a hairy choice there for a little bit, but I do think he'll get it done. I'm going to take him on the money line at minus 900, and then Damon Jackson on the money line as well at minus 180. So I'm taking one high-level probability of happening along with another one that is a little bit more on the iffy side, but I still think I have pretty good confidence that it happens. Going to get that at a minus 139 on DraftKings. Unit on that one. Not a full return, but you'll still get some cash, I hope. But those are the bets that I have in right now. We are going to see how we go. Like I said, I usually like to do some stuff on these days. I would love to try and get these things out to you. I can't always do that because I don't have that set up just yet, but I might do where I can get some shorts out. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you'd be interested in, me putting just single bets out. I do like to start from the very beginning and take one bet per and try and build that up just like we are doing with some of our other stuff. So, but that's where I'm at. That's what I'm betting. This has been the breakdown of UFC 309. Once again, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you are successful. If you're not following my bets, then I hope you got your own in, and I hope they rock out for you. But my name is Brady. This is Be All In Sports. Ball out, people, and have a excellent Saturday if I don't see you before. Peace.